Good morning from California. Hi, Ana-La-Rai.
Hi, Nancy. We're
Can
back
you
to
hear me okay?
Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. Just doing a
Happy
quick
Friday.
sound. You can hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay, I can also hear you just fine. Well,
Good.
thank you so much for coming on to my channel. Hello, everybody. My name is Nancy, and I'm your friendly PM coach. Welcome to my live stream, the High Vibe Product Manager live stream. The reason why I named my live stream High Vibe is because I want to help everyone watching either now or later to raise their vibration. And today I have a very, very special guest. Her name is Ana-La-Rai, and she is a universal pure source channel who channels the purest energy and messages from us from the highest light beings from the universe. And we're just surrounded by so much support, more support than we had ever imagined. I'm going to pass that over to Ana-La-Rai to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for having me, Nancy. I'm really excited to be here with your audience today. And my background, because I think it's relevant to your audience, is I used to be in hospitality for most of my career, and I worked in all parts of hotels and resorts. But then eventually, I got into human resources, and I was a director. I was a director at the first Canadian hotel that opened up in Moscow back way back in the 1980s, and when everything was happening. And then when I moved back to Canada, I stayed in human resources and worked at resorts across Canada. So human resources was my jam, and dealing with employees and managers and challenges and the situations that all come up. But eventually I left that because there was my heart and my spirit calling, which was to do my spiritual work and to support people energetically. So my company is called Sparkles of Love, and my website is sparklesoflove.love. And but I always said that human resources is like doing spirit work in business, right? You're helping and supporting people. So I work with my clients privately and also in group classes to help them raise their vibration. So this is just really, and and that's why I'm really glad to be here, because I know how stressful it can be working in corporate and working in, and I know that most of your audience is in tech, and that's really a high stress industry. So it's really important that we kind of understand our vibration and how to do better, how to make our job easier, or our living in our job easier with energy and vibration. So that's kind of my a real short of my background.
You mentioned HR is spiritual work in business. What do you mean by that?
Well, it might not be for everybody, not all HR directors, but it was for me, because for me, human resources was finding that balance between the management team and the company and the team members, and finding this place of balance where both felt valued and honored, and yet the business could succeed. So for me, it wasn't adversarial. And I know in a lot of organizations it feels adversarial. And so for me, it was like HR was like touching people's hearts and making their days better, with a smile or a connection, or making sure they felt heard, or they had a safe place to come to when they needed help. So to me, that's kind of like what spirit work is.
I love that.
So,
And also, we have Christian from the audience saying hello. Hi, Christian.
hi, Christian.
Thank you for tuning in. Okay, right back at you, Analarai. You mentioned that you do energy work. What do you mean by energy work, and what do you mean by vibration?
Oh, okay. So energy, so the way I feel it. So energy is everywhere. Everything is made up of energy. Okay. But when we're in, and what I call, and what many people in my world refer to here and now, like touching yourself, or the computer mouse, or water bottle or whatever, your pens, your desk, is the 3D, the third dimension, right? And it feels very physical, very heavy, and very concrete. You have a body, you have a house to go to, you sleep in a bed, like you drive your car, the 3D. Energy to me is the invisible piece. And if you do you remember, Nancy, did you ever do this as a kid where you would hold your hands like this and you sort of, someone would say, just put them slower together. And then eventually you feel like there's something invisible between your hands. So maybe the audience wants to try that. If you didn't do it as a kid, you start out here and it's easier when you close your eyes and you slowly move your hands. And all of a sudden it's like you feel something in here. That's energy, right? That's it. You're feeling energy. Another example of energy is if you've ever gone house hunting or looking for an apartment and you walk into a place and it's beautiful, but ooh, it just feels weird. Like it like you gotta go, ooh, no, that's energy. It's like another thing is when you go into nature and all of a sudden your whole body relaxes and you feel peaceful. That's energy, right? So I do energy work in that I move energy and I have the ability to send energy to people and to release energy that is blocking. And I know you've experienced that with me, Nancy, but it's really kind of cool. And and so sometimes it's like when you feel stuck, and you can't get a solution. The energy you're feeling blocked. So all of that is energy. And vibration is very, very similar, but vibration to me is all about, there's a great scale called Lover Above by, I think it's Dr. David Hawkins. And he measured vibrational frequency and compared it to emotions. Okay. So where were people, and this was science, technically vibrating in their physical form at when they had different emotions. And it's a great one to take a look at. And when you vibrate at love, and that's not romantic love, that's just pure love, they say it's 500 on the scale, okay? But things like guilt and shame are like 20 out of 1,000, 20 or 30.
Okay, so the scale is 1,000.
It's a scale to 1,000.
Okay.
And then peace is even higher than peace and joy are even higher than love. And then there's neutral is around, off the top of my head, I don't remember, around 300. I might be able to pull it up on my computer if you give me a second here.
Well,
I can easily access it because then it's really cool for people to see because you start to understand energy a lot.
our natural being is high energy, right?
Our natural being, yes. But down here we get really bogged.
And so we get pulled down in terms of
we get pulled down all the time because what happens, so we get triggered. I can't find it here.
That's okay.
Okay. So people can just Google love or above scale and they'll see it.
Love or above. Okay.
Yeah. And it's, there's lots of them. And so what happens is our soul is a very, very high vibration. But in human form, as we incarnate, when we're born, when we choose to come and be born here, and yes, we choose, okay, and we choose our parents and all of that, but that might be a little far out for your crew. We choose to believe, we buy into the illusions of here. So we come in and Earth is a separation and duality planet, right and wrong, good and bad, and it is a place where there is the illusion of limitation. So we forget our magnificence. We forget that we are magnificent beings of light. So really we are magnificent light beings having a human experience. And that human experience is very limited. So here our fears come up, our wounds come up, we get hurt easily, we have physical diseases. But the more we raise our vibration, so the more that we go into the higher vibrations, then life gets easier and better. But what happens a lot is we get stuck in survival mode. So if you're in a job you don't love or you don't get along with your boss, you go to work and it's like your body constricts. You wake up in the morning and the stress starts because it's like, oh my God, I gotta go to work. and my boss is so hard on me, or I have pressure at work, or you're worried about losing your job. And so your body constricts. It gets tight like this, and people grind their teeth or they
Mm-hmm.
clench their teeth, and there's physical symptoms of all of that. But that is also your energy dropping and constricting. Because when you're joyful and happy, it's like your heart opens, your physical body opens more, you're more present, you're more joyful, your vibration is higher, and things don't upset you as much.
That brings
So,
me to our next question, which is, what is the frequency of being calm? You mentioned that peace is really high frequency.
yeah.
That's similar to being calm. And how does that how does being calm and being peaceful actually help us be more successful at work?
So what happens is when you are in common peace, it's a higher vibration. It's over love. It's over 500. So what happens is your energy is higher. Now, when your energy is higher, you're more tapped into your intuition. It's like your connection to source, to whatever you call source, God, your soul, all of those things. It's like the flow of energy coming in and information and light and love opens up more, right?
Mhm.
So when you constrict, when you're in a lower vibration, your chakra system, which I'll talk more about later, gets much smaller. It tightens up. So you're getting less. You're getting less information, less light. And so what happens at work is that when we're stressed, our body tenses up, our mind shuts down, it becomes harder to be creative. And it's like a negative, it's like you put on almost a cloak of doom,
Mhm.
almost, where you're worried about everything, where
Yes,
you're right. And so then your creativity stops flowing, or it doesn't flow as well.
right.
And instead of having one idea about something you're creating, instead of having 5 or 6 ideas to look at, all of a sudden your brain is moving into survival mode and fear mode, and maybe you only get one idea instead of 3 or 4 or 5. So it changes those kinds of things.
I love that you said brain switches into survival mode. And let's talk about brain science a bit. Survival part of the brain is in a different part from the part that is logical and the part that helps us think. So the front of the brain is cognitive functions. This is where we think. This is actually what needs to be on when we're working. The
Okay.
other part of the brain is the survival brain. That's the emotional brain. It turns on when we're trying to survive. And
Yeah.
what happens when we're trying to survive? We're stressed out, we're worried, we get emotional, we start making up stories that this something bad is going to happen, or if I don't do this, then consequence happens. That is turning on a different part of the brain that's toward the
Mhm.
back in the middle, not this part.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
that part spins out of control.
yes,
It's where you hear the expression, you're going down a
spiral.
downward spiral,
Yes,
right? Because it's all these fears are opening up.
yes. So I guess we can also say that when we spiral, that's when our energy, our frequency
Drops.
drops.
Yes.
But what and when our frequency drops, we can't think anymore. Basically, this part of the brain is off now.
Hmm.
And if this is off, then we can't perform at our best.
Hmm.
Then we can't be successful.
Yeah. I have a story, an example of that I'd like to share with you that
Okay.
happened to me that was a real eye opener. And this is before I was doing my spirit work full time. I was still working in corporate. I was an HR director. And and I remember this really clearly. My boss had been on a rampage with all the managers. I don't even remember what it was about because that wasn't, and everybody was walking on eggshells and pins and needles. And he'd been upset with me about something. I have no idea what, and it felt kind of unfair. And I had this big project to do for him. And again, I don't even remember what the project was because that wasn't the important part. And I can remember sitting at my desk, and I'd stayed late one night to work on this, and I was just feeling, oh my God, he's not going to like this, and oh my God. And then I'd work on something, and I go, oh no, this doesn't feel right. Oh my God. And I realized I was really in fear about how he was going to respond and what was going to happen. And I went, oh my God. And then I stopped and I cleared my energy. And I, brought in the violet flame that helps clear your energy. And I brought in some love and light. And I just breathed slowly for a minute and just relaxed. And then I asked myself the question, what would I be doing right now with this project if I felt really appreciated by my boss? If we were in a great space and he loved everything I did right now, and we could be back to our joking, fun, connected self, would I be working like this? Would my results be different? And I heard crystal clear, and I knew immediately that I would have totally different results. And I'm like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
wow. So I went home because I thought, I can't stay here. And the next day I went into the mode. I thought, okay, I'm going to do this project, and I'm just going to make the assumption that we're in a great space and that he's going to love it, and that I'm not afraid of his response. And I knew that I was doing it differently. And it ended up, he really liked it. There's always a couple of suggestions on improvement, which is always fine. It's good feedback. But I knew it was different than the project I would have given him when I did it in fear.
Out of
So,
fear. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. And
You
so,
also
go ahead.
you mentioned you cleared your energy. What does clearing energy mean, and how do you do it?
Okay. So, when you feel, okay, so there's different things that happen. So, when you move into fear and you don't want to be in fear, you got to clear your energy. Okay. But sometimes, have you ever experienced when someone's angry around you and it feels like they just dumped all their problems. And
Yes.
then after they walk away, you feel awful, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've literally dumped their energy on you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or, you've had a bad day, and, there's other things happening in your life and you're worried all the time. Your energy is lower. So clearing your energy is helping to release in your field right around your body, which is called your auric field, your energy field, some of that negative stuff,
Mm.
right? It's kind of like just sweeping out the closet or sweeping out the kitchen because there's debris in it.
That's not
So
yours.
it could be. It
Oh,
could
okay.
have been caused by you. It could have been caused by someone else. It doesn't really matter. So one of the things I use is the guides brought through a tool that I call the sifter, and it's just like a grid of light, and I just imagine that I'm taking it down over my body, and it clears everything.
I love that. Also, we have a question from the audience.
Okay.
Actually, first is just Melinda saying hi.
Okay. Hi,
I'm
Melinda
Linda.
and
um,
Callie. Okay.
yes, Kali has a question.
Okay.
When we go into contraction, like you're describing, can that ever be a sign that something is wrong for you versus needed to change how you were doing what you were doing? How do you know the difference?
So when you contract and you physically feel it, it's always a sign. Your body will tell you so much, Callie. And so it doesn't mean that something's wrong in your body. It's just responding in that moment to the energy in the situation. Okay. And one of the things that you can do, especially when you're at work, is go to the bathroom, go into the toilet and sit on the toilet, whether you need to use it or not, shut the door and clear your energy. You can either just connect to the light. You can also just call on Saint Germain and Lady Portia. They're enlightened beings. And you call on the violet flame. It's a purple flame. And you visualize this purple fire coming down over your body. It doesn't hurt. And you just let it blaze, blaze, blaze. And literally, you will feel better. And you bring in the light then. And then you will feel better. And most likely, the contraction will release. Now, if it hasn't released, and often we feel it right here in our gut, in our solar plexus area, in your stomach, um, there might be more going on. So it's a sign that you're in fear, right? That you're contracting. If when your body goes like that, you're in fear. Okay. Now, if your body's like that 24/7, then it's really hard on your physical body. Okay. And it is your body trying to tell you you need to change something in your life. And I will give you an example that happened to me before I left my corporate job, and I had been there 7 years, and I loved my job and the people there when I was doing human resources. But the last year, I'd go home every night and cry, and I wasn't sleeping well, and I would feel contractions in my body, and I wasn't paying attention. And I had reached the point where my body was telling me this job isn't the best for you anymore. This isn't where you should be. And so I gave my boss my notice and um, gave him a long length of notice to help the team. And then I left and opened up Sparkles of Love. But, and it was big fear for me. It was a big risk. I had no partner. I, had a mortgage to pay and a dog to look after. And I was terrified, but I also trusted that I would be cared for and looked after. But when your body's in that constant state of fear and connection, not good for your health at all. And that's where eventually where we end up with getting ill often.
Mm-hmm. You
Yeah.
also mentioned light being earlier
Mm.
to help us clear our energy. What does
So
that mean, light being?
the simplest way for most people have heard of angels. Those are light beings. So they are beings of great light that are not in human physical form, that are pure source energy. So you might have heard the term ascended masters. So some of you have heard of Buddha would be an ascended master, or Lord Shiva, or Saint Germain, or I'm just trying to think of some common ones. Kuan Yin, Lady Venus, Love Star. Those are all ascended masters. And some of them, like Christ or Yeshua, uh, is an ascended master. I call him Sananda. So some of them have lived here on earth and had earthly lives, and some of them have not. Um, so that's what light beings are. And
Mm-hmm.
there's so many of them. We all have so many, there's so many light beings around, and they're all really here to help us. And
And
there's creativity light beings, and there's business light beings, and there's prosperity light beings, and health light beings.
does it mean that we could ask them for help?
Always, 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 always. But you actually have to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can say, can I have help with my stress? Or can I have help with my job? Can I have help with this project I'm working on? And then your job is to listen or be aware, because these beings of light, it's not like they're sitting, well, for me, it's like they're sitting talking to me like you and I are. But for most people, they get in touch through the dream time, through coincidences. So let's say you ask for help with your project, and then you find yourself at home that night and you're just surfing the net, and all of a sudden you end up on a page you had no idea how you got there, but it's related to what you're doing. That's usually your help, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a friend calls you out of the blue and says, oh, I was thinking about you. I want to tell you about this great new blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Or, all of a sudden you're in a store and a book catches your eye, or you walk in and it's on display and it's exactly what you're looking for. So those are some of the ways that the guides get in touch with you.
You also mentioned that you are a pure source channel, or sometimes you go by universal channel. What does that mean?
So it's what my guides started calling me. So as a channel, how do I describe it? I hear and see in my mind, not in the physical. I hear these light beings talking to me. So just as you and I are here talking,
Mm-hmm.
I hear crystal clear. I've channeled over 70 different light beings and collectives. So I hear them. So but many people who channel only work with one or two light beings.
Mm.
Okay, and I didn't, I always started with many, not knowing that wasn't the norm. So my guides have started just saying, referring to me as a universal
Universal. Got it.
channel. And then oh, and it's kind of funny because it says purse source channel, like your handbag.
Oh,
That's okay. It's kind of funny.
I will fix the typo.
That's okay. I think you should leave it. I think it's funny. A pure source channel. I didn't realize that many people that channel can't connect to pure source. And so when I channel, I bring through the words, but I also bring through the energy. And not everybody does that. And
Hmm.
I bring it from source, from the highest realms. So there isn't distortion or untruth in it. So, but I thought everybody did that, but I guess they don't.
You're
And Nancy,
special.
well, I wouldn't call it that way. I think I'm just blessed. And but you've experienced it. You feel the energy when I
I do.
bring it through. And I'm going to do some of that for people later.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the energy work that you do. Um, I had a question from uh, one of my friends
Mhm.
offline when I told them that I'm doing this live stream.
Okay.
And their question was, I feel like an imposter all the time. How do I fight this feeling? And I picked out this question very specifically because you used the word fight.
Yeah. So there's two parts to this question. So I'm going to talk about the fight part first. So fighting is survival mode.
Hmm.
It's And so many of us grew up learning to fight physically or emotionally to survive, or in your family, you had to get your fair share of attention from mom and dad. So you fought with your brothers and sisters and all of those things. But fighting is a low vibration, it's a difficult energy, it's a polarity energy. So, what I mean is, fight represents win or lose. It's an either or. It isn't a middle ground. So fight is not something that I do anymore. It's not something I encourage in people anymore, because and even when you say, how do I fight this feeling? It means you're in the energy of fighting, right?
Hmm.
Energy of separation of two different things. So that's the first thing. So even if you said, how can I address this feeling? Feel the difference. If I
Yes.
address it and fight it, they feel different in your body. So imposter syndrome is something that's really common down here right now,
Yes.
planet Earth, feeling like you're faking it, that you're really not, people are going to find out you're not really who you are. But what that really is your own insecurity. It's your own fears. It's your own feeling of unworthiness. And feeling unworthy or not good enough is really the deepest wound of humanity, the deepest wound.
Mm.
And unfortunately, right now, in social media, in the news, in our families, our friends, there's so much manipulation and so much discouragement to make us feel unworthy. If you look at, you know, magazine ads or online or on YouTube, and everything's enhanced, right? You look at how many women really look like the stars,
Hmm.
or how many men really have that kind of body, or all of these things. Everything is designed to make us feel less than, so that we then purchase more products and
Hmm.
services. But there's so little out there that says, wow, you're great. I think you're fantastic. And just be who you are.
There's also a sense of us not fully owning compliments. So let's say if
Mm.
someone says, "Oh, you're so great," I might think, "Why are you saying that? Like,
I know.
I didn't do anything. I kind of don't deserve that level of praise." And I feel you when you say this is a wound that we are kind of working through right now in humanity.
Yeah. And the compliment thing is really funny, because I watched it in myself years ago, and it was like, I can remember I wore something new that day to work, And I had like 9 people say, wow, that looks so lovely. I really, really like that. And one person said, why did you wear that today? Now, it wasn't negative. It was just, why did you wear that today? I was crushed. And yet my brain ignored the 9 positives and went to the negative. So I think it's how our brains are wired, that fear-based wiring, that survival mode to protect ourselves, right? Oh, oh, oh. But you're right. It's hard to accept
It
compliments,
is. It
right?
is.
It's like, ooh.
And related to worthiness, there was a question from my friend
Uh-huh.
that there was a misunderstanding. Sorry, there was a misunderstanding at work, and now I feel worthless. What can I do about this?
So that becomes inner work. So okay, now this might seem controversial. No one can make you feel worthless except yourself. Now, they can try. They can say, oh, you're crap or you're not good enough. People can try. But
Mhm.
when you love yourself, that kind of bounces off.
There's also this culture of performance reviews at
Yeah.
work, and these reviews are really heavy
Hmm.
because our compensation is tied to the performance reviews.
Yes.
So when our management says, "Oh, you didn't meet all the expectations, you only met some of them," and then your compensation is only at 80% of what it used to be.
Yeah.
Now we're feeling really
Really
worthless.
triggered.
Yes, we're triggered a lot.
Well, and from an HR standpoint, most of the way the standard reviews are really not helpful anymore. They're really old school because they focused on where you're not doing well,
Mhm.
right? If you think of maybe you only hit 90%, okay? Probably in your review, most of the time is spent about that 10% you didn't do rather than the 90% you did do. So the perspective gets warped,
Yes.
right? So instead of saying, wow, instead of most bosses saying, you really perform well, I'm really happy with what you're doing. And people who do reviews, most of them never get a whole lot of training in it.
Yes.
And if you encourage people and you respect people and you appreciate them, they're going to work way harder for you than if you belittle them all the time. And I know I've seen managers use sarcasm as a management tool. And that was one thing I used to pull in our managers. And sarcasm is not a management tool. All you're doing is making people feel worthless. You're belittling them. But people that do that use sarcasm and ridicule in the workplace or even in the private, feel less than themselves. And they're trying to put you under their thumb,
Are they
right?
projecting because that's how they feel about themselves?
Yeah, they feel about themselves. So they want to make everyone else feel that way, right? Because you can still give feedback without making anyone feel worthless.
Mhm.
It's all in how you do it. And those of you that are managers, the quicker you can learn to help people grow and support them and encourage them, the better you're going to have great employees faster who will do more for you, who will love coming to work, right? It makes it
Related to that, so let's say you do have a toxic manager
okay.
and they're testing you all the time, and they belittle you or they use sarcasm, they use all these other things that we put under the toxic category. What can we do about it?
Well, there's a couple of options. If your company has a human resources, then I would probably go to human resources, but I know a lot of people are afraid to do that, right?
Yes.
Um, so there's the first thing. If you're strong enough, you can ask to meet with them and sit down and say, I'm confused about what you expect from me. And when you're sarcastic with me, I don't know what you really mean. But you have to be pretty self secure at that point to do that, right? But if you really, if you're really in a toxic workplace where it's hard to be yourself, it's hard to raise your vibration because all that energy and that negativity and that treatment is coming at you all the time, then it might be time to look for a new workplace.
Yes.
because you end up having to ask yourself, and I know you have a mortgage to pay and bills, and we all have those things, but you will eventually get to the point where you'll say, is it worth my mental health? Is it worth my emotional health? Can I keep going like this as I am being beaten down?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody deserves that. Each of you that is listening here, you are magnificent beings of light, and you are here for a human experience. And maybe you chose to experience some bullying and some toxic work environment, but you've had that. Now you can leave. Now you can move
Mm.
on, or you can move into self-love for yourself. Start to really love yourself and clear those wounds, so that when they say it, it just rubs off your back.
I
Because
love
if they don't get a response, they're probably going to stop doing it to you.
I love what you said because there is growth definitely that will help us grow when we are put in certain situations. But do we want to get bullied time after time after time after time? Do we keep on growing every time we get bullied?
No, because if you're bullied in life at all, in any way as a child, so you're most likely in what we refer to as victimhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're in victimhood, and you don't even have to be bullied to be in victimhood, when you're in victimhood, you feel like the everything is outside you, that they did this to me, the government did this to me, my boss is crappy to me, you know, poor me. It's that poor me. Oh, I can't get ahead, it's their fault, it's my neighbor's fault, it's my spouse's fault. So if you're in blame, that is always outside of you and you have no control, then you are in what we call victimhood. Okay, and that's a really low vibration, it's a really hard state, and so you feel like you have no control in your life. And until you step out of victimhood, your life won't change, because it's like you wear a sign on your back, an energetic sign on your back that says, kick me. I'm a victim, kick me. And so what happens is you tend to run into all these situations where you're treated like crap, because that's your energetic signature,
Mm.
right? When you love yourself, or are on your journey to love yourself, when you feel more worthy and understand your value, you people don't do that to you, or very rarely, because your energy is like, yeah,
Because you don't allow that type of treatment anymore.
right. Yeah.
So I love what you said. Love yourself more.
Yeah. Love yourself more. And victimhood, sometimes it takes just being aware of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's something I help people with too when they do private sessions, because you want to get them out of victimhood really quickly. And so it's awareness of it, of what the behaviors are and what they're doing, and going, oh. So a really important question when crappy things happen to you, whether it be at work or in your personal life, to ask yourself, and you have to be brave, but when something really, really shitty happens, really crappy happens, you go in and you say, why did I create this? So you're not in victimhood, because you're now saying, I created this. My energy and my soul, I created this for an experience for me. And then once you start to ask, why did I create this? You start to get answers. Why did I create this?
I think
And
that in
then, and
itself,
you're owning it. Sorry.
yes, it's such a power move
It
because
is.
you're moving from victimhood that is powerless
Mm-hmm.
to how did I create this or how did I enable this?
Yeah.
Then you're owning it. You're recognizing that you have power. You are
Yes.
powerful.
And you're taking control. Why did I create this? All of a sudden, there's no blame. It's like, wow, I did this to myself. So if I did this to myself, I can do things differently. I can choose differently. So it's a really important question to start asking yourself, because then you're stepping out of victimhood for sure.
I love that.
For sure.
You mentioned earlier that we will be doing activations or downloads. I'm not sure if I'm using the right words.
That's okay. So what I would like to do is I would like to do a download for
Download. Okay.
everyone. And whether you're listening to this with us live, and the energy holds in the recording, so you should not be driving. And I would really recommend you're not on your computer or your other devices, that you give us the 5 minutes of attention fully here.
I have to ask you for a vocabulary lesson. What does doing a download mean?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download. So I'm going to bring, so just like in a computer, you get a download or a new app, you download it onto your phone. We're downloading the energy into your human physical body.
And what does that do?
Well, you're going to feel it in a minute. So there's all kinds of different ones. So what I'm going to do today is the vibration of peace.
Oh my God.
Right? So it's a high vibration, and usually what happens is your body will start to relax. You'll start to feel softer or lighter. And every time you listen to this, you can receive it.
Are we downloading in silence? Are you saying things to us? How does it work?
So I'm going to get the energy set up, and I'm going to ask everyone to close your eyes. And I'm probably going to talk a little bit through it. I'm going to tell you where it's coming in your body, and then we'll have some silence in it.
Okay.
And all right. And I'll probably do, would 5 or 7 minutes work, Nancy?
That works perfectly.
Okay, now my phone is in another room. Can you put a timer on for 7 minutes for
Yes.
me?
Hold on one second. I wonder if this app allows us to do that.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. But okay, let me.
Just on your phone, even?
Yes, I
Sorry,
will.
I usually have it here, but.
You're fine. Am I setting a timer
Yeah, just go to
for
7 minutes.
7 minutes? Okay, hold on one
Yeah,
second.
and then it'll dingling, and because sometimes I can go in so deep I lose track of time.
Okay.
And I know we're on a time. So
Okay.
all
It's
right.
on.
So I'm going to ask everyone to just close your eyes. And I'm first going to get us connected to the light, and then I'll bring the download, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So just close your eyes, and just first of all, just see, feel, or sense, or simply trust. I'm going to start to bring some source light in. So just pure light and love. And you won't see anything coming down through here, but you'll start to feel it. And if you don't feel it, it's okay. You're going to receive it anyway, because if you're highly stressed, it's harder to feel it. So just feel as that pure source light comes in. And I'm going to ask each of you to imagine that you are getting connected now to your highest source. You might call that your soul. You might call it your highest self. You might call it your I am presence. And if none of those make sense, don't worry about it. You're connected to the part of you that is infinite and forever. Not so your non-human self, okay? Your light being self. So just feel now as I'm going to start to bring down that vibration of peace. And it's a high vibration. And just feel it's going to come down through your chakra system. It's going to come down here and touch the top of your head, which is your crown chakra. And it's going to enter here. And this vibration of peace is going to start to flow into your head. And it's going to saturate that old survival area in your brain at the back that Nancy talked about. And it's going to come down on both hemispheres. Just feel your brain and your eyes and your ears and your nostrils, your teeth and gums. Just allow that energy. And it's going to flow down gently your neck. And it almost feels a little bit like gentle water flowing inside you, but it's energy. It's going to come across your shoulders. It's the vibration of peace. And it travels down both your arms to your elbows and down your forearms to your wrists and hands to your fingers, probably busy typing all day. And that beautiful vibration of peace. And the color I'm seeing, because I don't always see a color with it, I see this beautiful golden yellow color coming in. That's representing the peace right now. And it's coming down. It's continuing to flow. It's flowing down your main part of your body, your cavity, your chest, and down into all your organs, your stomach, and your liver and gallbladder, your bowels, your appendix, all of the organs, even if I don't name them all. And it's filling up your human body. It's flowing down to your buttocks and down all around your hips and your reproductive organs. It's going to flow down your legs and thighs to your knees. It's going to keep flowing down your calves to your feet. It's going to fill you up. And it's flowing now also into the auric field, which is the energy around you. It's your own energy field around you. So your skin is getting filled. And we're just going to start to flow it into your nervous system to help your nervous system, because to soften it and make you relax a little bit, just let your nervous system be coated with this vibration of peace. And it's going to flow into your immune system. And into your cardiovascular system, to all the body systems. And just unclench your cheeks or your jaw and let your shoulders drop. Slow your breathing. You might want to take a deep breath, really bring it in through your nose and then slowly release it. And just allow this peace to continue to flow. We're going to add some more. We're just going to fill you up with this beautiful vibration of peace. So just receive. There's nothing you have to do except receive. Okay, and I think that's probably pretty close to our time. How does that feel? Did anybody feel that?
You're right on time. 40 seconds left.
Okay.
I don't know if the camera picked up my movement in body.
You're swaying, yeah.
I am just swinging, and I'm not doing it on my own. I'm just
Beautiful.
it's just doing its thing.
And one of the things, I have two gifts for your listeners, and one of them is a recording, and it's from a recent full moon advanced opportunity session I did, and it's the Peace Anchor, where the beings of light came through and help us create an anchor for peace in our body to help us, that you can call on anytime. So it's a 1 hour meditation. So I have that as a free gift. Nancy's got
That's in the QR code in that corner that says free gift. So go ahead
yeah.
and scan that QR code for this Peace Anchor meditation. And how do we use it?
So it will tell you in the meditation. So once you have it anchored and created, so you go through the process of creating it, then you can call on it anytime and feel the peace around you. So it's really cool. I quite like it. And then we put another gift in too, so you get two gifts. So those of you that know anything about the chakra system, which is the energy system in our body, and you heard me talk about, there is now available an advanced chakra system on the planet. Only been available a couple of years. Most people have never heard of it. Oh, I'm glad it felt amazing, Asley. And I've gifted you also the advanced chakra, the very first one, which is the sacral chakra, which will help open up so you can receive more energy of source, more intuition. And yeah,
Tell
awesome.
us more about what the sacral chakra is. What does it do?
The sacral chakra is part of the series of chakras, and it's really the place for creativity, right? And so it really helps us connect with our highest self even more. So all of that's in there, and you'll learn all kinds about it. I don't want to give it all away here because
How
you're
do
going to
we,
get it in.
yeah, how do we use, should we call these downloads? Should we call these meditation? What's the right that's label?
They're different. The meditation is the process, the whole thing. Like I do usually an hour meditation. We get people in, and then the download is when the specific energy comes in.
I love that.
So yeah.
Do we have to do anything to receive the download or we just
In the Peace Anchor, it'll tell, like in both of these, they'll tell you. So when I do, and I have on my website, sparklesoflove.love, there's I think 3 or 4 free meditations you can find on there too. And so sometimes they're a process, sometimes you get an energetic download. And on my YouTube channel, I've been doing lives, and I always do a download there of some sort of energy or vibration. So that it really, and some people listen to them at night. They put them on just as they're going to sleep. Again, it helps raise your vibration, and which ends up helping you at work, right? When you feel more peaceful, more calm, it lets you do a better job at work.
because we can actually think?
Yeah, because you can actually think, and that's real. At
That's
workplace, that's
huge.
really important. It's really huge,
It is
right?
huge.
And
Um,
and the more calm and peaceful you get, people gravitate you towards you. They want to know how. Because I remember someone asking you, about you always being calm, and you didn't
yes,
perceive yourself that way. But it's one of those things, and we want to be around people the energy feels like.
yes. Do you have any final words of wisdom for people who might be watching now or later who are just really stressed out, really worried all the time?
Well, first of all, I'm sending you lots of love. Okay,
Thank you.
I'm sending through my hands lots of love and energy for you. And, what I would say is to start finding some tools to clear your energy so that you can reduce your stress and start connecting to pure source light every day. That helps. So you just take a minute when you wake up and I ask for pure source light to come into my body. And really evaluate, should you stay where you're working now? Because if you are in stress and fear all the time, you're not in the best place for you. And
Yes.
maybe you have to stay there for a few months while you find something else, or as you're paying something off, or because you're for I understand all that. I get it. But do what's best for you, because you want to be in a place you're more productive, ha- happier and healthier, and your vibration is higher when you can do work that you love, whatever that is, and find a company that appreciates you.
That's also when we could perform at the highest level. It's when we could actually feel grounded, not worried all the time. And
Yeah,
so, if you're worried about performance, actually, one key question is, well, how are you actually feeling on the day to day? If
yeah.
you're not calm, you're always worried, you can't be high performing in that state of mind.
No, exactly. And think about it. If you got up every day and go, oh, wow, I'm excited to go to work. I'm working on this project. I love it. Your body feels different. Your energy feels different. People treat you differently. And and you are more productive. You produce more with more grace and ease.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
love that. And
Yeah.
for those who might actually have the courage to look around, or maybe they're currently on the job market, do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I would say it sounds funny to tech people, but follow your heart. Allow your intuition to help guide you. And ask your guides and angels, show me the best place for me. Lead me to a place. Help me find a new job. And if you go there and you interview and it doesn't feel right to you, or they're belittling, or they're not seeming to be appreciative, then that's probably going from the fire to another fire,
Yeah.
you know? So trust your feeling and your intuition in your body.
I love
So,
that. I love
yeah.
that. Well, thank you so much, Ana-La-Rai.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to be here with you today.
It's so good to do this on a Friday too.
Yeah, I did. I
Well,
did.
everyone who's listening, go ahead and scan the QR code in the corner, and you could download Analarai Peace Anchor and Advanced Sacral Chakra. When we have more peace, when we have more calm, then we're able to be more creative, and we're able to think, and we could actually be the high performer that we can be when we're not worried and stressed out and anxious all the time.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, Kali says thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome.
All right. I hope to have you back again.
I'd be happy
Later.
to. I'm up
Yes.
for it. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Bye.